Hi everybody, so I'm back from a small break from YouTube and general life stuff, including work actually, because right now I actually also currently have strep throat, which was actually more of a pain before I took antibiotics. Unfortunately, my good gut microbiome was probably destroyed now. It just had to be done. I looked up some videos of and stuff like that for holistic care treatment and stuff like that. But I pretty much whatever I was doing was generally working. It would have the pain would have went away eventually, but to be honest, it was getting worse and worse. It was just evolving and evolving. So I had to pretty much rest for 3 days straight. I did nothing but sleep pretty much because I was just so exhausted from the pain and all that. And so I actually took time off on I think it was Thursday or something like that, or was it Wednesday? No, Thursday. And then Wednesday I did work, but I hardly did anything. I had some customers ask me about some work, and I was like, I was just very honest with them and said, I apologize that I did this so late. I just at least I got it done. I was just very sick. I thought I had a viral infection, but from the stuff that I looked up, this was through Eric Berg. Basically, when it comes to a strep throat or feeling a sore throat, you can either be bacterial or viral, and in 80% of cases, it's going to be viral, and which would make sense because whenever I have a sore throat, it never really gets that bad, and so. But then when I looked at the symptoms and stuff, I didn't have white spots or anything, but it just kept getting bigger on this side, and I was like, ugh, like I would feel like the cortisol release every time I would feel the pain, and then it just would just get worse and worse. And then I would try to take honey and tea together and all that stuff, and so I got some of this. I never have honey, by the way. I got some of this and also Manuka honey, which has a lot of B vitamins and is generally more nutritional than other honeys. And so, but I guess Manuka honey is a little overrated, but it would still work pretty well. And I was just kept taking apple cider vinegar. I put it in my tea. I warmed up the tea before. And it was just crazy over and over again. It was tough to deal with. And, but let me tell you something. I think it was also because I was sick about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and maybe the bacteria was evolving and or like, it took a break or something. I don't know. And then it came back. I'm not sure. I probably didn't give myself enough rest to be able to do that. So to be able to recover fully and to kill it off. So pretty much I had that going on, and I pretty much put off everything for a long time. And I was just kind of in bed for a long time, for like a week almost, I feel like. But when I said I needed a break, I really did. I'm not gonna lie. I think that was also I was also like all the stress was kind of building up, and I just was like my body was dying for rest. So it probably converted into like having a suppressed immune system. So whoever had strep throat that I was around, whether I went to the sauna or if I went, because I did go to San Francisco that day. It was my last video. I said, it was already 10 days ago, I think so, or maybe maybe a week ago. It feels like it's longer than that, because actually I do feel a lot better. I feel a lot better, and I'm tackling my projects with a lot more rigor and a lot more vigor. So vigor. So because I'm almost done, but it's just a bunch of finishing touches, and I just feel motivated now, or not just motivated, but I feel like I have my energy recovered in some ways. So today is like the first day in a week that I'm actually doing some renovations, and I'm just I just, like, for example, I replied to Mark, and I just could not get my thoughts together very well. Like even soon after that. And it's just, I don't know, it was just all that stress, and it built up, and I just had to like chill, it was, you may not see it, but off camera, oh, I'm just like a monster when it comes to all this stuff. boom, I'm just crazy about it. Um, and but like obviously, the longer time goes by, the more it's like you kind of slow down. You start having like issues with your energy and stuff like that. So I mean, like no matter what I did, it was like that cortisol was just building up, and it's like I needed to give myself some rest. So anyway, the countertop people got back to me, and I actually installed them today. Right now, I'm working on finishing up the backsplash part. So finally, I'm getting this done. And I understand that like a lot of people are probably thinking like, when's this guy? Why is this like never gonna get done? But it was a $480 for two of the panels. It wasn't the backsplash, just the panels themselves. And so I guess I could show you, but I guess before I show you, it was a little interesting because they were like already 2 days late on when they were gonna get it, and I even when I gave him the template, he even gave me a super late date. So I was expecting these like almost 5 days ago, 6 days ago, which feels like a month already. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look. So far, see, I'm not 100% finished. I'm getting it together. So I put the panel in. I had to actually, I used silicone. I had to actually, for this case, shim it out because it was still a little wobbly. So I had to make sure that it was all completely leveled. I can actually put it in there. And they did it completely correct to the template, so I'm really happy. Well, except for this part. This part is actually sticking out a 1/4 of an inch, but you would never notice. I wanted them to do it 1/8 of an inch, but it turned out to be a 1/4 of an inch. It's not the biggest deal in the world because at least it fits there, and everything was perfect. So you can't see it, but there's actually a 90-degree corner that goes in that way. And so that's the way that I wanted it to be, and obviously it curves this way, so now there's no like possibility that it's going to come out or whatever. So that's why I'm glad that they did it the way that I asked them to. So yeah, he wanted me to actually put an edge profile here, around it. He calls it a laminated part where they kind of glue it on the bottom. The problem with that is that it won't fully adhere to the bottom. Because it's not 100% aligned. The cabinet, I don't know if you remember, but it was actually slightly slanted, so it would most likely would have not aligned because you're not doing it based off of a common situation. So I just told him, please don't do that, because I don't even care if it's thicker or not. Over here it is. There's a laminated part. If you look underneath here, so there's a laminated part, but I don't even care. Like I already knew ahead of time that I wasn't going to do that over here. But yeah, I put the backsplash there. I had to cut it over there. I cut it using my miter saw. And then actually, I'm a little short on this side and also on this side, and I'm completely fine with that because I'm just going to tile that in. I'm going to use the same tile here. I got another set for $15. I just had to shell out the money. And I'm actually going to touch up this part too. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Just for the hell of it. I mean, just so you don't see anything. So, and then I started figuring out, okay, well, do I really want to just grout this thing? No. I'm actually going to put in the 3 hours or whatever it takes for me to actually cut this, because the tile cutter that I have can't make these clean. It can't make a cut that's this long and slender. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to use my angle grinder, spend about 3 hours to go all around. Now, by the time I get over here, probably not. It's just going to be where the backsplash is. And I started filling this steel part in here, or it's an aluminum fluter, and I'm going to do it over here too. So basically, yeah, we're getting this done. I'm really happy they finally got back to me and stuff like that. At least they were willing to work with me, and they weren't all like, oh, well, this guy's find someone else. Like, they didn't just blow me off. But anyway, yeah, and you can see here I finished this one off too, so it looks pretty nice. The only problem is, I don't know if you notice, but part of the cuts were such that, for example, this part here is not polished. You can see I could use acetate to take out some of these, like, these parts, but this side, like some of the parts, like not the countertop part itself, but the backsplash, this side is not polished. So I'm gonna have to do that myself at some point if I really care that much. I mean, I don't even think Mark noticed. Um, but and you could also see this is called an eased edge. So this eased edge is here, but it's not along this part here. And the same thing over here. This because it was the other side was designed for it, but I wanted to make cuts in such that I preserved as much inches that I had, so that I would be able to have as much as possible to cover without having to tile. I mean, that's kind of a trivial issue when it came in comparison, because like I could have just lived with it, but I prefer having more I prefer having more space with using the backsplash than to tile. And unfortunately, so basically I have to bevel this edge. I have to make this an eased edge as well, and then polish this part. The other piece on the other side, I don't have to do that actually, because I somehow was able to see. I actually made a dumb mistake. So this is the eased edge. If you could see, I don't know if you could tell, but this one's an eased edge. This is not. This one, I have to take a angle grinder and put they call it like a spinning almost like a certain mesh of the sandpaper, and just kind of go along, which is not that hard. I mean, but this part also has to be polished, which kind of sucks. But see, so it doesn't have a shine to it, this part. But again, it's not the biggest deal in the world. Nobody's gonna give a shit. Like this is not my forever home or anything. So I might just keep it, and nobody's really gonna see it. I mean, unless you're Mark, I guess. But yeah, there's no shine to this part, but there is a shine to this part, and that's because this side was intentionally not to be polished. So, and that was my mistake. But again, I don't regret it, because then I would have had to make a special miter cut on the other side, then cut the other side to be flush, and then basically waste 3 inches or so, just so that and then it's like too much work and too much stuff going on just so that I can make it on the correct side. And I think the manufacturers themselves are kind of lazy. So it's like, it's just the way how everything worked. But anyway, so that's gonna have to happen for this part here, because I actually cut it, which it's just in theory it would have to be that way. But fortunately I was able to get the shiny side and the eased side for these pieces, except for not this part, but the shiny part is there. The eased edge happens to be on the bottom, which shouldn't be. It's not supposed to be, but it's just the way that I like, because like I was saying, I would have had to make another cut, two other cuts on the same piece, which again would have wasted some inches for me to put more tile there, which I don't really want to do. So you get what I'm saying. Okay, anyway. So, like I said, I'm gonna have to. I thought about putting grout in here, but I'm not gonna put grout there, because I'm not gonna just exclusively put grout. I'm gonna take my time and put an actual tile pieces. That's just, I think it's more kosher, given the situation. It's the space is about 3/4 of an inch. It's actually too high for you to say that, okay, well, I can just put grout in there. I would feel bad if I just left it as grout. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. But yeah, it's coming together now. That's not the only. That's one of the only things left, pretty much, that I need to do. I mean, in terms of one of the big the things that were on my list that was gonna finalize my my remodel. But when it comes to other things that maybe I might want to do, like I said, I want to put caulk on the ceiling, for the crown molding, but and then put some baseboards here. I think that's actually on my list, but I don't know if I'm ever going to do that. I think somebody on the other side is actually renovating, because I saw some water come out of here, and that wasn't my fault. And also they've been messing with the hot water, which is interesting, because they're not the lady's normally there. He's the tenant, but I guess she went out for vacation or something. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look upstairs. I don't know if there was anything else that I can really update you on, because like I said, well, I still have to do this part, right? I still have to patch this part up, you know. And I started to clean off the tiles, but then that's when like the strep throat situation started happening. I was like, fucking hell, man. Dude, it was the worst pain in the world. I know people get strep throat all the time, but that was probably my first time I ever had strep throat. I just thought to myself, like, this is crazy. How the hell did I get this? It just like I just felt like I was bedridden and chained to the bed for for days. But anyway, and then yeah, this I just still have to clean this off, and I started to, and then also I basically cleaned off the tiles over here good enough to grout. I just need to actually start grouting and just doing it. And the tub is pretty much clean. There's just this one spot that I'm trying to get out. Just kind of a pain in the butt, but it's the same thing over here. I actually cleaned up the tiles enough for me to grout it, so I'm gonna probably do that soon. Yeah, I mean, man, I can't wait. I mean, it's about high time I'm done with this shit. I mean, god damn. But but yeah, and then that's about it. I mean, there's not really much left to the renovation. I mean, yeah. So well, I mean, you know, I have to patch that up, patch this up, and you know, and then obviously I have to go in like areas, where it's like it still needs to be textured and painted, and just start texturing it. So that I don't know when I'm gonna do that. But, like, everything takes forever. So like that little job right there, that's taking me a whole day. So yeah, like I still have to texture this part and then paint. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, strep throat, god damn it. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I had fun in San Francisco. I met a really cool chick. We like when I went to the farmers market, she's all about marathons and stuff like that. And so she starts to, you know, like I didn't even hardly said anything, and we were talking, and she just like, here, you want this? Because I was interested in, it's called Sam's Adventure pistachio butter, and it was $30, the $30 pistachio butter. But I love pistachio butter. I mean, if I'm gonna get a nut butter, it's gonna be pistachio butter or macadamia nut butter, you know, or nutso or whatever, you know. So let me show you what it is. I haven't finished it off yet. So it's like this stuff. And the great thing about pistachios is that it's rich in melatonin, and I'm figuring out that melatonin and glutathione are like the most important things when it comes to having a good immune system. And you want to make sure that you have that regularly, because it kind of builds up a good immune system. But apart from allowing you to eat more easily. But yeah, I can't wait to just kind of clean up, and because like I really do need to clean up. That's another thing, is like cleanup is hell. Like right now my mind is like on this idea that, you know, oh, that's right, before I say that, the lady that I met, she's a marathon runner, but she has a house in Orinda, which is near San Francisco, and she inherited it, and she said she spent, was it 4 or 5 years to renovate her house. So she was showing me some of the results, and I was like, wow, that is nice. She said, yeah, my father's a subcontractor, so he's been helping me renovate, and we just like do it one bit at a time. I understand how long this stuff takes. It's not easy and stuff like that. I showed her my stuff, and yeah, so then she's just like, hey, let me get your number, you know. She seemed interested. So, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting what happens when you get out there again. You always get out, you know, when you get out there again. But then, and then, yeah, it's like someone then like on a, I don't know, you know, a social media app or whatever, told me they wanted to meet with me at my house. Like, I was like, really? You know, and I was like, well, call me. And then so we talked, and I was like, whoa, shit, I didn't know if you were real or not, you know. So she just kind of comes over, and, you know, we were having a good time. So, you know, it's kind of cool. Like once you just take a break and you kind of chill, it's amazing, you know. But this project has definitely just put everything on the back burner, and seems like now that we're in like the holidays, people are more they want to be with each other now more than other months. So it's great to well, it's good to hang out with people. But yeah, the everybody's minds are in different states, like different situations. Like when my mind is on this, and I'm like thinking about like things like from a creator point of view, and someone else from another point of view might look at me like, oh, I'm being greedy, or they might think like I'm trying to make someone feel jealous, or they might think that I'm like greedy in the sense that like, oh, I'm trying to take advantage of somebody, or I'm obsessed with material things when they see this stuff, or I don't know, just, or maybe they think I'm an idiot, and they think they have no freaking idea why I'm doing these things, and because in their minds, or whatever their mental states, or whatever what's going on in their minds, is they have a different mental model for how to go about life. So they might think, well, okay, well, life is like your mom, this, and that's your boundary, or your parents, or whatever. But then it's like, for me, like my mental models are constantly expanding. So everything that I'm doing is based off of what I've been able to expand. So at one point, I probably thought that way in terms of just parents, and just like having a job, and just having interactions that are nice, and that make you feel good. And I mean, generally speaking, I like that. But now I don't really mind if things don't work out that way. I never think like, oh, well, this interaction went bad, or whatever you want to call it, right? Because now I'm thinking about it in terms of like, my focus now is, well, how is this translating into I guess you could say, the machine of our systems that we got going on. Like, for example, with United States and capitalism, it's like a machine, right? So everybody's kind of doing a certain thing, and it doesn't matter if they're being rude, because as far as I'm concerned, because, well, if they are being rude for clear and malicious reasons, yeah, I mean, just, screw them, but like, if you're just being rude, and it's like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, we're all working together, and we're trying to get shit done. We're trying to do what's best for the future of everybody, and trying to act in the way that is the most efficient. Like, for example, capitalism is arguably that way. So that I don't really, I'm just like, well, that's just how it's got to be, man. And it sounds like it just seems like you're sacrificing, you're being evil by sacrificing one thing for another. But in reality, it's just the way things are, so because it's just, I mean, that's just the nature of it. And so I like to think that, well, which, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's correct. I mean, I think it's correct. But, everybody's going to have an opinion or whatever based off of their own boundaries of their mental models. But, so sometimes I think like, oh, well, I'm being greedy or something, but that's not really the case. I mean, like, for example, when you look at my situation, something like this, like I've said before, it takes a long time. It takes a big commitment, and, it's just something that doesn't happen overnight, and it's a lot of sacrifice, and you can start to see it. And I've even gotten sick over it, pretty much at this point. So, but it's economically efficient if you think about it. Whatever I'm doing, like what I'm doing is economically efficient, and sometimes I think about it because I'm thinking like, well, the most important thing should be labor, the division of labor, but that only goes so far without you having a greater impact. You see what I'm saying? So, and I started thinking about this, and actually, I'm like, this is pretty much what everybody is I mean, is motivated by, because their mental models can only be so much that it's based off of their mental models can only be such that it's based off of within a certain limit what they know, not the possibility that you can go outside of that. And maybe because, like I said, they haven't read enough books, or they haven't been able to think too much about it, or they haven't been able to get enough answers, or they haven't been convinced of it. So for example, what I'm saying is, for example, let's say you start, like, you have this idea in your mind, like when I was sick, right? Just go to the doctors, right? Go to the doctors. They're going to take care of everything, right? Well, and same thing with labor. Oh, just do what you're best at. That's just, and spend as much time doing what you're best at, and just routinely do the same thing over and over for that same thing. Well, okay, those things are all true, right? Those things have generally produced good results when it comes to capitalism and, just efficiency like that. But on an individual basis, at some point, it starts to become not the most efficient way to handle things. Even though, yes, I mean, it is an efficient thing. It is an efficient thing over time. But when it comes to at some point, if you were actually able to reach a point in your mental models that you can actually see beyond that, then it's no longer the most efficient way. So, for example, for me, when it comes to the health stuff, and 80% of it was holistic, but 20% of it was actually going to the doctor. Now, I had to go to the doctor. The strep throat. See, I didn't know I had strep throat. For the longest time, I thought it was just a virus, because I looked up the video, the holistic, Eric Berg's video, and well, obviously, but like, I trust that information. I understand what that means. He said 80% of the time it's viral, 20% of the time it's bacterial. Chances are, if you have a sore throat or whatever, but and so that bacteria would be strep throat, or among other things, but most likely. So basically, I just thought, like, I don't even have the white dots, so I'm not even going to go. But then at some point, I thought to myself, you know what? It's getting worse. Just take the chance and see, because you never know. Because it could also lead to other problems. So from that point of view, having the previous mental model, the hive mind mental model, or the one where it's just somewhat based off of a limiting belief system, that would have been the number one thing to do. But without the holistic treatment, I would have, for example, not have seen in other situations that it was just a flop and that I don't need to go to the doctors. So, and I don't have to waste all this money and stuff. And then the other thing too is, like, for example, so that would be one example of you being basically not having the mental models that would go beyond just the basic, you got to go to the doctors. But then the other thing too is, like, the whole idea of labor is, so for example, I'm a lot more incentivized now, at least for myself, to work more hours apart from work doing this stuff. But from the outside perspective, they're saying, are you an idiot? You could be making a lot more money. You could be getting raises and stuff. But what they don't see is that it's more efficient for me to get raises and to move ahead at this point, to go ahead and work on all this stuff, because now I have the bigger picture in my mind. So because I don't have those old ideas that are just stuck in there because I haven't read enough and stuff like that, then I'm like, in a sense, I'm like qualified to be able to do things or that would kind of go against those old models. So I just thought that I would say that. I started thinking about it because it's just like it goes against a lot of things, and you know, a lot of people just it's it makes me think like, dude, am I really doing the right thing? Am I? Sometimes I feel like I am being certain ways that people would think of me that way, but I think I'm just tripping. I don't think it's true. Anyways, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.